Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog's got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5 and get $50 in bonus funds when you sign up using promo code OFFSGPN.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Macho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you listen to, this is JMark. You can find me in the X at JMark Football, and us is at Old Fashioned FB. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can already tell, and you'll get the point on the podcast as well. No Miranda today, family thing. We'll keep it at that. But time is running out on these podcasts as far as before the season starts. Kickoff is a week and 1 day away when we're going to see the Eagles and the Cowboys take each other on. Interesting thing, I saw some Cowboys fans doing a little chatter, a little chirping, if you will. Funny enough, when I posted my anti-Cowboy stuff, now it's not my anti-Cowboy stuff, it was from our guest CJ Sullivan and Moneyline Mac. I posted the anti-Cowboy stuff that they said on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok. On YouTube, nobody disagreed. On Instagram, nobody disagreed. But on TikTok, apparently that's where all the Cowboys fans like to venture because, man, they came out of the woodworks. They were smashing Eagles fans. But one of them said, I'm not worried about all this chatter because Dak dominates the Eagles. And I was like, okay, not how I remember the scores going recently. But then I looked it up. And in the games that, Dak was playing, they played them very well. In the games where Dak has not been playing because he has had trouble staying healthy, obviously, they've struggled. Obviously, they've struggled in general without Dak. But I was surprised when I was looking up the history of the past 3-4 years here, how Dak has played against the Eagles. He has played very well against them. So I did see plus 7.5 for that Thursday night. That's a little juicy for a guy that has played well against the Eagles, and the Eagles having that Super Bowl hangover. Anyways, we'll do our picks next week. I don't want to bury that lead and give them all away, but if you can find that plus 7.5, I think I'm jumping on it now. Shout out to the chat. Channing is in here. Let's go. We're holding it down without Miranda. The good thing is, sometimes you got to do these solo pods. I have to do one tomorrow or Friday, not sure when yet, but I have to do one on the CFL Gambling Podcast. And the solo pods are a little difficult. It's hard to talk to yourself for 30 minutes to an hour. The good news is we have a guest. We will be bringing a guest on. Shout out to Serial, who can comment on the YouTube, but can't seem to draft and hit the listener league. Sorry, Serial. I had to give you shit for that. He's saying plus 7. Look for that plus 7.5 that I got, but I think it is a lock. I agree with you. You know me. I don't say a lot of nice things about the Cowboys, so I don't hate on them as much as some people do, but I do think that's a lock. I agree. I want to talk some quick hits before we get to the guest and bring him in. This is real quick. We're going to go in depth with these next week a little bit more, but just in case you need these for fantasy football news, Adam Thielen traded to the Vikings from the Panthers. So that's interesting. Now, I did see a lot of people, Jalen Coker is going to be a wide receiver 4 at best in fantasy football. So I think we need to hype that down just a little bit. You got to remember, they have Tet McMillan that they drafted. They have Xavier Legette. They've got some dudes. I don't think Coker is just going to all of a sudden be the guy that, you need to reach for him in drafts. Still keep taking him at the end of the drafts. He'll put up some flex numbers, help you on bye weeks. But yeah, that's what I say. Shout out to Cody at the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. I know it's Cody because Rod was supposed to be here. Unfortunately, not able to make it because he got his dates a little mixed and he's got his girls at the concert. But that's awesome. Their first concert together. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I would expect him to choose that over old-fashioned football. But Cody from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast saying, let's go. It's football season. It is. We got college football kicking off tomorrow. I have a feeling Cody is going to tell you to bet his Cornhuskers. And again, a team I don't say a lot of nice things about, but I agree with you. Just to get through the rest of this news, Rashee Rice has agreed to the 6-game suspension. You know, we kept hearing, well, it'll be the end of September. He'll probably get at least 4 games, and then they'll have this hearing. But the league throughout this 6-game suspension, and Rashee Rice's camp must have decided, like, it's a pretty good deal. Let's just take it. So he will be out the first 6 games. And then Deontay Johnson was cut just for names that used to be relevant and are no longer. And then some of the other news, I mean, guys like Joe Mixon opened up on the PUP list. We kind of expected that, but they've been a little vague on this injury. Guys like Najee Harris, not on the PUP list. So he will be playing. Anyways, we're going to get into all that next week in our week 1 primer, where we're talking NFL news. We're talking fantasy football guys to watch, just guys in general, what we're looking forward to in each game, and bets for every single game. It's week 1. Let's go. But today we're talking NFC West. The format is going to be the same that we've been doing it. We got off-season changes of news, fantasy focus, bets at the end, and we'll talk a little whiskey. We're not going to talk as much whiskey as we have been, because without Miranda to give us our whiskey history, but I will tell you that I made a old-fashioned with the delicious Keeper's Heart Irish bourbon. And shout out to Keeper's Heart. They are sponsoring our listener league. And while I'm at that, I might as well tell you about that. Old Fashioned Football is proud to announce that this season, and the last 2, shout out to Keeper's Heart, but this season, the Listener League is brought to you by Keeper's Heart Whiskey. Keeper's Heart is the first of its kind blend that brings together the best of Irish and American whiskeys, creating a smooth, rich flavor that's perfect for game day. Whether you're celebrating a win, processing a tough loss, or just relaxing with your friends, Keeper's Heart is the whiskey that keeps traditions alive. Find it at your local liquor store, or you can go to keepersheartwhiskey.com. And don't forget to sip responsibly. All right. I hope you liked that ad read, because I wrote it. So any potential sponsors out there, that's what you could get with Old Fashioned Football. Just a magnificent ad read, if I say so myself. Just like the graphics are always magnificent because I do them. So I might as well say they are magnificent. Real quick, also, football's back. We've already said that. And so is our amazing merch sale. 25% off everything in the merch store with promo code football. Make sure you check out. I mean, we got all sorts of cool stuff. I like this t-shirt. If you're on YouTube, you can see it on there. They're super soft. Everybody that has gotten one has told me, like, these shirts are so soft, I got to order another one. I agree. The sweatshirts are cool. We have all sorts of different styles and colors. You know, it doesn't have to be guy colors. There's girl colors too. So if you want to get something for your girlfriend to just say, hey, my boyfriend loves football and whiskey so much, he bought me a shirt with football and whiskey on it. I mean, whatever your thing there is, however you want to swing that so that you get the brownie points. But yeah, go check that out and get 25% off with promo code football. Also, SGPN just launched their NFL Survivor contest. It's a $100 entry, winner take all, at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. Plus, if you're new to Splash Sports, promo code finals for a $10 credit. That means that it's only $90 to get in there. So not a bad deal at all. Happy to see the chat popping. Huskers getting to play in Patrick's Palace tomorrow night. I don't know what that is. What is Patrick's Palace? Enlighten me, please. And then Keeper's Heart. We're all fans of Keeper's Heart around here. It is great stuff. You've heard us talk about it a lot. The distiller, Kate Douglas, has been on our show. She's going to be back in September. And then she's also in the Listener League, which is kind of cool because she also loves football and fantasy football. She's a Dolphins fan. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, it's been great. Now, before I keep talking to myself, I got to bring in a guest that I've known for years. He's as goofy as they come, but in a good way. He's hopefully I'm okay to announce this, but he's a soon-to-be father, which is very exciting news. And he's part of the 49er faithful, which is why he's on the NFC West preview. In fact, He was so invested in that idea of the 49er faithful that he decided to become a religious major in college, just hoping they were going to talk about the 49ers. Plot twist, I don't think they did, but welcome back to the show, Mr. Nick Fortune. Nick, how you doing today?
Good, sir. Cheers. Cheers to you. Cheers to you.
I know you're not drinking Keeper's Heart, but we need to fix that.
Yeah, when I win the listener league, I'm going to get that bottle and it's just going to be just magical. And, then I'll just gloat about how awesome it is.
There you go. I mean, and if you are impatient, I do believe they have it at the liquor store in your town, which I have been in, and they have a nice selection for a small liquor store.
They do indeed. That's where I get all my liquor from, honestly.
Love it. And Nick already told me because I asked him, but Nick is drinking a little Angel's Envy today, which, I mean, you can't fault you for that. It's a very solid bourbon.
Yeah. It's a really good whiskey. I do enjoy it too. I believe you said, I asked you, I'm like, Four Roses or Angel's Envy, and you're like, just do the Angel's Envy. Really good bottle, logo look. I mean, I have the bottle right here, and look at it. Look at it.
I mean, it looks great on a shelf, even if you don't want to drink it, but the juice inside is good too.
Absolutely.
And shout out to Gary. Says, oh, hell yeah, best in the biz right here, ladies and gentlemen. Pour you a shot, sit back, and enjoy the ride. Gary, don't be pouring no shots. You don't need a shot, sir. But thank you for checking in, and cheers. 60,000 tickets sold to Husker fans, 5,000 to Cincinnati. It's the Kansas City Stadium at Arrowhead Stadium. And, shit, Nick, Cody says, he didn't call you the nickname. I don't remember if I threatened to share your nickname with him or just did share it. I can't remember for sure.
Which nickname are we talking about? I have a variety of nicknames depending on the individual you're talking about,
It would be the one that you don't like as well, but it's okay if the kids call you, like my niece and nephew, they can call you that. Well, you don't really care for it when other people do. I'm just saying.
It'd be weird. It would be weird if Cody said it to me, to be honest. It would be a little weird. When it's when it's your niece and nephew, that's fine. It's okay.
Nick, it's great that we brought you in because look at these fans. Shit, Nick. Hi, Nick. And Serial saying Fortune. And my father knows your nickname. Sorry.
Well, the cat's out of the bag now.
I'm not going to say it out loud. I mean, if people are just on Spotify or Apple, they don't know still.
So. Oh, they still don't know. Yeah. We'll keep it a secret for right now.
All right, let's break down the NFC West. We're going to start in order that the teams finished last year, which means you're going to have to wait a while. It was a little bit of a rough year for your 49ers.
It's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, we're going to start with the LA Rams, who did get first place last year. Let's just talk about their offseason moves. They added Devonte Adams, which was kind of the big pickup. If you think he's still got gas in the tank. They added defensive tackle Puna forward, which I believe is a great first name, Puna. They did lose Jonah Jackson to the Bears, so I hope that's a huge loss for them because I want him to do well for the Bears. They lost defensive tackle Bobby Brown. And, of course, I think the one that's going to be the weirdest not to see in a Rams uniform and the biggest name there, they lost Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is with another team. We'll talk about that in a little bit. They drafted, I guess their main picks were Terrence Ferguson, the tight end, and edge rusher Josiah Stewart. So here we have Matt Stafford back again. He re-signed. They brought in Devonte Adams. The biggest question is the same thing. Can he stay healthy? Because if he doesn't stay healthy, maybe, I mean, their backup right now is Jimmy G, Miranda's ex-boyfriend, but I don't know. I don't know if Stafford doesn't stay healthy, I don't know if Jimmy G can keep it going. Nick, I'm going to turn it over to you to ask, do you think Stafford can stay healthy, and are they a threat to your 49ers?
I would say, at least for Stafford, can he stay healthy for the entire season? No, he can't. He unfortunately cannot, unfortunately.
He is old. I mean, I get it.
He's the same age as I am, okay? And, I have a backache once in a while here, and, if I have a backache too, I'm out of commission,
Right.
You know how it is,
It happens.
I would say that, but obviously we're not being tackled by linemen or, anyone like, bulldozing us down or attempting to bulldoze us down.
This is true.
But no, I don't think that he could stay healthy. I think he's a viable option, at least for starting. But did I pick him up amending my fantasy football rosters? I did not, just because of the uncertainty as well. Plus, there were also better options, Bo Nix, and other options too. But is this team, am I threatened by the Rams? Yeah, I would be. Kyron Williams is still there. Devonte Adams is there. Puka, Puka. Absolutely. I'm absolutely threatened by this team, because they have so many good weapons. Kyron Williams is awesome. I like Puka Nacua. I still like Devonte. There's not really just hopefully Stafford stays healthy, basically.
Yeah. And just kind of talking fantasy football wise, real quick here. Let's kind of do it backwards. We'll start with the wide receivers. I've heard a lot of people say, like, well, Devonte can reproduce what Cooper did last year and whatnot. And I think what people aren't realizing is they are very different receivers. They play differently. And Cooper Kupp, where he would be doing these little out and in route type things. Devonte Adams, I think, will be more of a field stretcher. He'll be more of a 50-50 ball guy. And so, in a way, if he stays healthy, I think that might be better for Stafford. What do you think?
I think it actually would be. Because Puka's going to do his little zigzags and everything. But Devonte, if it's one-on-one, Devonte's going to catch that ball. As long as he stays healthy and he doesn't get injured, he's going to go get that ball. But that's why I drafted him in. I think it was your league or my league, one of the two. I drafted him for very cheap. I would say I think it was $9, and I was very shocked by that. And then also second guessed myself: did I get a winner or did I get a loser?
Well, that was actually my league. I remember that because Miranda and I separate couches, but in the same room this year. Just though that didn't go the greatest at some points when we were bidding on running backs, but we had your draft, and then a little bit later we had my draft. And in my league, he went for $9, and I said to Miranda, this guy just went for 24 in Nick's league. How did he just go for $9 in this one? It was interesting, to say the least.
I'm also very shocked you and Miranda were in the same room, like drafting on the same article of the same furniture too.
It got dangerous. There
should be like a wall, basically, like a pillow wall or something like that. Good gosh, man.
To say I was a little bit scared is an understatement. I think, we kind of talked about Puka. He's a must draft. He's a first rounder, in my opinion. Devonte, it's for the right price. Kyron Williams, a guy that Miranda loves. I have shat on him every year, but I think I have to admit that he's a solid running back, and I think he's going to continue to be a solid running back. I'm not scared that Blake Corum might get more touches. Kyron Williams is still going to be that goal line dude and the first back that gets their carries every series.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
And then, too. Stafford. It's all about the health. What about their tight end, Terrence Ferguson? Do you have any interest in him, or are you staying away this year and just seeing how that plays out?
Staying away. Just not. When I think Rams, I don't think tight ends, because number one, they're not drafting from tight end university first and foremost.
That's true.
I'm more thinking about Matthew Stafford. I'm thinking more Devonte Adams, Puka Nacua, and I'm also thinking of Kyron Williams. Tight end, it's never been their strong suit, to be honest. Yeah, they had Tyler Higbee last year, I want to say. But even for him, it just didn't really pan out, unfortunately. Or he got injured.
Yeah, of course. That's what happens. Cody's saying it's all about who has what money left. I will tell you that I left the draft with too much money, and I said I should have been a little more aggressive on running backs because I'm not thrilled about my running back selection. And Miranda was not thrilled about hers, and that's what was causing some of the issues of like, hey, I'm bidding on this guy. Well, I'm bidding on him. Sorry. Well, what the fuck? Why are you bidding against me? It's just a fun time. We're going to talk about these other three teams, but before we do, I got to let you know that we're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on football and everything else. It's your home for NFL and college football. MyBookie's $100,000 NFL Super Contest, only a $15 entry, and they're offering buy 2 entries, get 1 free. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, like Canada, and it's easy deposit and lightning fast payouts using crypto. We got 2 Canadian listeners, believe it or not. Head over to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for 100% bet back to up. 100% bet back bonus up to $500. Say that 5 times fast. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. The NFL is back on Rhythm, and last season, Rhythm was 76-66 against the spread and 22-19 on over-unders. They really shined on player props. For example, they were 10-5 on Baker Mayfield props. Baker is a dog. They had a 25% return on interest. Rhythm also has MLB, WNBA, golf, and college football. Go to the site today and start building your NFL models for week 1 and try it out. You get a 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Gotta love Baker Mayfield.
Baker's a dog. That's why I kept him in your league.
Don't gotta love saying bet back bonus because that obviously tongue-tied me.
Words struggle sometimes, even for myself,
I will say for anybody that did check in last year to our NFC West preview, we were doing more of a fantasy focus at that time. Obviously, we're kind of doing an overview this year, seeing how it works. But you will not get to hear Nick say over and over, blow my wad, because Cody's saying he couldn't bet on people because he blew his wad early, as you would say. So, but even though it was last year's information, it's worth it to go back or at least check out the short that was created of Nick saying blow my wad over and over, and Rod and I taking a drink every time he did.
and then Miranda also saying, will you also be blowing your load on Brock Purdy? No, I believe it's blowing his wad. That's what he'll be doing, blowing his wad.
Not his load. All right, let's talk about the Seahawks, who finished second last year. They probably look the most different in the division this year when you look at their changes, which included adding Sam Darnold, wide receiver Cooper Kupp that we talked about, defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence, who signed with them over another team because they offered him 3 years, I read. Linebacker, Ernest Jones, and defensive tackle Jerron Reed. Now, they traded away DK Metcalf, which is going to be really weird because I don't think Cooper Kupp equals DK Metcalf. They also traded away Geno Smith, but I don't know if that's that big of a loss. They did choose not to re-sign Tyler Lockett as well, which is weird, and guard Laken Tomlinson. But they drafted a guard in Gray Zabel, even though those small school linemen, sometimes it does not pan out. We shall see. They drafted safety Nick Emanwari, which I know you will say has an excellent first name. And I liked that pick. I think he is a great fit for Seattle. And you think of like the Legion of Boom. I think he can be that hard-hitting safety back there. Tight end Elijah Arroyo and quarterback Jalen Milroe, who some people have said is like a Justin Fields that can throw better, which is interesting. Like I said, they traded away Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, who had been there for several years. The real question is, can Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp repeat their production? This is a team that I thought was really close to being able to steal the division last year. Now they've changed the quarterback. Now they've changed their top wide receiver in getting rid of DK Metcalf. Now Jackson Smith and Jigba will be their guy, I believe. But it was interesting because normally when you see those major moves like that, it's from a team that was not close. And Seattle was close. Sam Darnold obviously coming off of a great season. So, Nick, I'm going to turn it to you and ask you, can Sam Darnold repeat that magic from last year, or was that just Kevin O'Connell?
Well, let me just take a quick drink here from the unofficial sponsor of Liquid Death here from Old Fashioned Football for a moment here, because I need to hydrate myself here. Can he actually repeat the magic he had last year with the Vikings? No, he can't. And, you can say, oh, it's because Nick's a 49ers fan. He doesn't like the Seahawks and everything else here. No, it's not that. It's Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer, okay?
He is.
He made Nick Mullen look amazing.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me Sam Darnold's going to go to a defensive mind head coach and have the same magic that he had last year? No. I kind of agree with what, the main show did. Kramer as well. I kind of agree with him. This offense is going to struggle. Defense is going to be amazing. This offense is going to struggle. Cooper Kupp, since his Super Bowl, he has not been looking that great. He hasn't even gotten a receiving yards of over 1,000 receiving yards, maybe because of injury and everything else. Mm-hmm. But he really actually hasn't been that threat ever since that Super Bowl, MVP Super Bowl year, honestly. But would I take him? Yeah, but I would take him in the later rounds. Obviously, he's not my wide receiver 1. Maybe at 2, lower 2, maybe wide receiver 3. Yeah. If I'm going to target anyone in Seahawks, I would probably go Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Jackson Smith and Jigba is the wide receiver that you want there. And I think Unfortunately, I know they drafted some guys for their line, but I don't think their offensive line is going to gel together right away. Therefore, Sam Darnold's going to have to quick release that ball, and that's where Jackson Smith and Jigba seems to thrive, which is interesting because that's also where Cooper Kupp has thrived in the past. But Cooper Kupp, older guy, deals with injuries. That's kind of an issue he's had the past couple years of not being able to repeat the success he's had. I'm not worried about Cooper Kupp being there taking away from Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think JSN is a stud. I think he's a guy that you should draft, especially if you look at his ADP, he's going around second, third round. I think that's great because I think they're going to need to use him. So I think they have to. Kathy's saying Cooper Kupp is not Cooper Kupp now. And Channing, one of the Canadian listeners I alluded to, because we do have two. I was surprised to learn. I knew Channing listened. I was surprised when I got a DM from somebody saying, hey, I love old-fashioned football. I can't get bourbon up here in Canada anymore, but my buddies are going to be in Buffalo. Do you have any recommendations of what they could pick me up? And I was like, wow, we have more than one Canadian listener, which is very cool. So we're kind of, and that was shout out to Velenaire or Spreading Better. We are international, old fashioned football, an international podcast here, even though I don't know if you consider our northern brothers to be international, but we're going to say it is. Anyways, we talked about Sam Darnold might be a bit of a disappointment this year. I'm staying away from him in fantasy football. JSN, I'm after Cooper Kupp at the right price. I found myself drafting him because that 12th, 13th round, he is still there. People are not drafting Cooper Kupp because of that injury history. And I think at that point, he's probably worth the flyer. What do you think?
I think he's worth the flyer at that point in time. Absolutely. If you went for, not blowing your wad, so much on, auction style drafts. I mean, if you have $9, I'm going to take Cooper Kupp. Yeah. Same thing with Devonte Adams. Absolutely. But am I going to target him like the early rounds? No, absolutely not.
Agreed. I believe I got him in one of the leagues I'm in that I drafted him in. I believe I got him in the 11th or 12th round. Last year, I was thinking back, it's like, oh, I had him last year, but I drafted him in the 3rd or 4th that year. So obviously that didn't pan out last year. Hopefully with that 11th or 12th round pick, it does. Let's talk about their running backs because they have Kenneth Walker, who I think is a really good back. They have Zach Charbonnet, who's filled in well whenever Kenneth Walker is injured. Do we still like Kenneth Walker in fantasy football? Do you still think he's going to be able to produce?
I'm not targeting him fantasy wise. I don't like Kenneth Walker just because he can't stay healthy. Zach would be the person I would probably actually target more often, especially in the offensive scheme that they're going to be running.
Yeah.
He's thrived in that in the college than he did than Kenneth did, unfortunately. But I would target Zach than I would Kenneth.
And then last to talk about in fantasy football, Elijah Arroyo. I'm seeing that they're lining him up at everywhere. Tight end, out wide, in the slot. I think he could have sneaky value this year. As a bench player, draft him as your backup tight end to see what happens. But he could be sneaky. What do you think about Elijah Arroyo?
I think there's better options out there, in my opinion. You could get Jono Smith, you could get Evan Ingram, you could get other people more value for your tight end than waiting to see if he could be a sleeper. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Hey, I think a lot of us were wrong about the Vikings being so great last year, especially Sam Darnold underneath the helm. Maybe Seahawks are like, well, Nick was just talking crap about my team. And we just dominated the league and we won the division. Maybe. I don't know.
Now's a great time to refill. I'm refilling my Keeper's Heart. I'm drinking the Irish bourbon. I also like their. I love it. I like their Irish rye. We just reviewed the. Which one did we just review? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember which one we reviewed, but I got the PX Sherry behind me. We just reviewed the single malt, which is very good on its own, but I was surprised. Now, I normally don't put Irish whiskeys in an old fashioned. I normally don't put higher end, which this is, whiskeys in an old fashioned. But that 10-year single malt made a hell of an old fashioned. It was very, very good. So keep that in mind. I'm going to put you on the spot in a minute here, but first I'm going to read a little bit about the Cardinals. But here's what I want you to think about. Draft is to you. You need a running back. Are you taking Kenneth Walker or James Conner for the Cardinals? That's who we're talking about next. They finished third. I think there's just one major question with them, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about what they added. They added Josh Sweat at edge, linebacker Akeem Davis-Gaither. They didn't really lose any major pieces. They're one of the teams that you look at the players they lost, and it's like, okay, that's fine. They drafted defensive lineman Walter Nolan, cornerback Will Johnson, defensive lineman Jordan Birch, linebacker Cody Simon. You can see they spent a lot of money and draft capital on the defensive side of things. Headlined by Josh Sweat, who had a really good run, especially in that playoffs and Super Bowl for the Eagles. But they didn't really change the offense. No new wide receiver to complement Marvin Harrison, which I thought was interesting. What do you think of that? Are the Cardinals with an improved defense, are they going to be good enough that they push this division, or are they going to sit in that third or fourth spot?
You still want to improve your wide receiver depth. That's the thing that was the big head scratcher. Yeah, you improve the defensive side of the ball, but yet you got to give Kyler Murray some weapons here. Yes, he can run around, like a
Toddler.
little, with the like a toddler, basically just run around and everything, but you got to give him more weapons and everything else here. There's something that screams to me on the wide receiving core besides, just the Marvin Harrison Jr. That's the only one I think that I would really even target for. But that wide receiver core is just,
Marvin Harrison Jr., they bring back Michael Wilson again. Like, there's nothing there. I feel like they should have improved it because the defense can key in on Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride and slow that offense. You need another guy to help stretch that field, or even a guy that's fast out of the slot, that can get those quick little in and outs or slant routes. That was interesting to me. Let's we talked about Marvin Harrison. Yeah, get him in fantasy football. I don't think anybody else is worth it as far as wide receivers. Let's talk about their running back, James Conner. They also have Trey Benson. I asked you if you have to pick one, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, which way you leaning there?
Going James Conner. He's got the performance. I mean, I just looked it on up here just to make sure that my numbers were right because I had it. But hey, internet, ESPN, it's a vibe, not Wikipedia. I'm not in college anymore. He's got over 1,000 yards, 1,000 rushing yards here. He's got 7 to 8 touchdowns in the past 2 years. And compared to Kenneth Walker, the man just can't stay healthy. Kenneth Walker can't. I'd rather actually target James Conner. Would I blow my wad on him? No, probably not. That's a different story.
Yeah, he seems to be falling into that fourth round where there's not a lot of guys around him that I like better. So I'm finding myself having a lot of shares of James Conner. Do I think he loses some touches to Trey Benson? Yeah, he's even admitted like, hey, I think Trey Benson's going to get more involved, help keep me fresh. But I think that is only to help keep him fresh. I do not think that's to keep him off the field and get outperformed. I think James Conner's still going to do well. Kyler Murray, he's a running quarterback, so he does have fantasy football value. Tight end Trey McBride, I think he's a must draft as well. What do you think?
He's a stud. I mean, I think he's probably the best offensive weapon on that side of the ball for the Cardinals. Better than Harrison. He has the chemistry. The weird thing is that if you want to be a little spicy here, I'm going to do a bet here if you don't mind. I would actually take the under for his touchdowns, 4.5 right now. That's plus money on DraftKings. Mm-hmm. He does not actually get in the end zone. He's not really the guy to actually get the touchdowns, basically. But he does the receiving.
He absolutely hasn't yet. That's one of the reasons I love James Conner, because they do tend to run that ball once they get close to the red zone there. So yeah, that's an interesting bet. I'd be curious if you could parlay under touchdowns and over yards, because I do think he's going to get a lot of yards. I think that would be a fun little parlay. You know me, I've never met a parlay I don't like.
That's true. That's true.
Right. We're going to talk about your team in a minute here. Before we do, Now, hopefully I don't butcher this because normally Miranda talks about this, but we're brought to you by Underdog. Underdog Best Ball Mania is happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best Ball is the best way to play fantasy football. Underdog is also a great place to play Pick'em, where you can win up to 500 times your entry. I've been releasing CFL Underdog plays that have been cashing. What are you doing if you're not following? We're going to have NFL action going as well. You've heard me complain. Well, I can't play Underdog in Iowa. Well, that's okay because I'm going to be in Oregon where I can play Underdog for week 1, and I am stoked. And Underdog's got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5 and get $50 in bonus funds when you sign up using promo code OFFSGPN. And don't forget that even if your state doesn't have it, you can travel to another state. You can enter a slow draft, then go back to your state, and you can continue to participate in that slow draft. I've done it multiple times when we've gone up to Minnesota to visit Keeper's Heart, or we go down to or we go over to Nebraska, visit my parents. They take us to a restaurant in Nebraska. It's like, I'm going to hop in a slow draft. Why not? And then you can continue to draft it once you're back in your home state, even if your home state doesn't allow it. So you got to do it. We're also brought to you by Circa Million and Circa Survivor, the world's greatest sportsbook. Circa Las Vegas is hosting the world's biggest pro football contest. If you did not see the photos from Ryan, Real Money, Kramer, Sean Stacking the Money Green, Ryan Moneyline McIntyre, CJ the Man, and the Box Sullivan, Steffi Smalls, Ryan, you got to go check out the photos because the Circa looked like it was beautiful. I had serious FOMO. I really want to go there. I have not been there yet, but it's just a beautiful place for sports bettors. And they have the Circa Million, the Circa Survivor, and the Circa Grandissimo with over $21 million in guaranteed prizes. You can sign up in Nevada or Nevada, however you want to pronounce it. I saw somebody giving Moneyline crap about how he pronounces Nevada, and play anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com and use promo code SGP to get $50 off your proxy fees. Contest close on Saturday, 9/6. So you've got roughly a week and 3 days left. Go book your trip to Vegas. It's cheap to fly to Vegas from anywhere, I feel like. Get out there, sign up, and have the proxy put in your picks from then on and win some serious cash. And don't forget, using promo code SGP, you get 15% off your stay at Circa. All right, we're back, and we're going to talk about them. The 49ers. They had a rough year last year. When I was putting the teams in order as I was kind of building how the show would flow, I was like, holy shit, I didn't realize they did that bad. They had a bad year. They had a rough year. I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about their changes, though. So give us kind of their additions, their loss, their drafted, kind of recap that offseason, and let me know why we should be buying in on the 49ers. Because you've probably heard me on the show say before, I am out on them again. Convince me. Let's hear it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I would say, thank you so very much. So we got to go talk about the free agency, who we lost here first. And it's really weird when I was looking at who are the transactions that we lost here, and Google goes, the key players you lost in fantasy football, first name came up, Deebo Samuel. Really, Deebo? You already know how I feel about Deebo. I don't really care about Deebo. Once he got paid, in my opinion, he became just like this little brother here. He's mouthing off here, and Trent Williams is going to come over and just, have his back and everything else here. But Deebo Samuel got traded to the Commanders as well.
On that note, real quick, Trent Williams is a scary dude. I've seen people people in fights on the field, and when he runs over, they're like, yeah, never mind. I'm done. He's a scary dude.
I would not want to see him. I would not want to meet him in a dark alleyway. Let's just put it that way.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
But then, on the opposite side, it was our defense. Travarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, Tula Hungapunga, Malik Collins, Jarvin Hargrave as well. We lost a lot of defensive players. And again, it just comes down to you can't pay everyone in this league.
Okay, because you paid Brock Purdy.
We paid Brock Purdy. Absolutely, we did here. That was a pretty good decision, in my opinion. And let's talk about the additions. Yeah. Wow, a lot of free agency loss here. Let's talk about the additions. We signed Mac Jones. Wow, that's really like kind of a wow. Can we do any better here? Well, yeah, we did. We signed Luke Farrell too. Yeah, and well, that's really good. But we actually did sign someone else here, the fullback Kyle Juszczyk. He's going to go do some
When
push-ups
they
now.
did not re-sign him, I believe I sent that to you because it said 49ers not re-signing Kyle Juszczyk. I said classless organization. You don't re-sign a guy like that, you're classless. So I'm glad that they made it right and brought him back.
I'm very happy about it. Very happy that they got Juszczyk back because he's a key performer of like our running scheme.
Right.
You know, when Christian McCaffrey gets out there, he's a great blocker. Who is also a great blocker? Mr. George Kittle. We'll get into that conversation in just a moment here. But you know, in case you were living underneath the rock, you know, during the training camp and everything, we traded for Sky Moore. I'm okay with that. We need a wide receiver that's a healthy one too. We also got Brian Robinson, a running back as well from the Commanders. And let's not forget, we actually hired back our former defensive coach, Robert Saleh.
I think
that's awesome.
huge.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. It's great because we were going through defensive coordinators like hotcakes during after Robert Saleh left. It was DeMarco Ryan. After that, it was the Falcons head coach now, Morrison. I want to say. I can't remember the guy's name here now for whatever reason. But anyway, I mean, we went through so many different defensive coaches and everything. It was just like I'm finally glad we actually have someone that knows the scheme, knows what we're going to do here. But it showed what we needed to focus on in our draft. You know, we had a ton of draft. We had Malik Williams, we had Alfred Collins, Nick Martin. We also had Upton Stout, which we drafted heavily for the first 4 picks before we even thought about, hey, maybe we should get something on the other side of the ball here because we need that. You can't. The bad part is that you can't actually. You can't figure out. You can't really replicate what we had initially last year compared to this year because they're all rookies and everything, and it takes time in the scheme. Even though that our defensive, like our playbook compared to the offensive side of the ball, is a lot easier to manage compared to the offensive side. But it's gonna be challenging as well.
I will tell you one real quick, and maybe you're going to talk about it, but one under the radar, I feel like, because you don't hear a lot of people talking about it. And shout out to James Ruland. Dude's name is Fortune, but can't get a decent mic and better internet. He's not a podcaster. He's a 49ers fan that joined us. I mean, come on, man. Cut him a break. And yeah, his last name's Fortune. That doesn't mean he's made of money. So one under the radar move that they made, and I don't feel like it was talked about enough. They traded to get Bryce Huff from the Eagles. Bryce Huff did not do well in the Eagles. I don't think that's a secret. They signed him to a decent contract. He just didn't fit well. But Bryce Huff, under Robert Saleh previously, had done very well. So I think that's going to be a little bit of a sleeper especially if you're in the IDP. Speaking of Gary, who was in here earlier, if you're into IDP, I think Bryce Huff could have a really good year under Robert Saleh and help keep that defense in line.
Yeah, I think he can be as well, but I mean, there's so many there's so many things that are going on the defensive side that, you know, we just got to stay healthy. I'd say overall, during this training camp, it's just been waiver wire after waiver wire about, hey, who got injured this time, who's on IR, who's going to be coming back, and everything. We're hitting the injury bug pretty hard.
Well, and that's the story of the Niners, right?
So far,
that's been the crutch. I don't know what it is, but they seem to continue to get hit with this injury bug. I mean, we saw it last year. Now, Christian McCaffrey, he has Achilles tendonitis. That does not go away. A lot of people not talking about it this year. I think bringing in Brian Robinson is a great move because it'll keep, they'll be able to put him on the field. And a lot of the backups are injured right now, right? Isaac Guerrero is a guy that pops to mind. They don't have him anymore. Or, I mean, they do have him, but he is banged up. They don't have Jordan Mason anymore. Bringing in Brian Robinson, a guy that I think can carry the rock, can get those tough short yardage downs. I think that keeps Christian McCaffrey a little healthier, and it's an insurance policy for if McCaffrey gets hurt. And I think wasn't that a 6th rounder that you guys gave up for him?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we gave up a 6th rounder for him as well. I think it's a great move, to be honest. I know it's kind of a bummer for a lot of people, but it's just an insurance policy for Christian McCaffrey just to stay healthy, because when he's on the field, I mean, I still have nightmares from Christian McCaffrey during the Iowa Hawkeye game,
Stanford, Iowa, when he
where
had
he was
200 all-purpose yards. Oh my God!
Holy crap! It was terrible. I think we were watching that game together. I'm like, well, let's just turn it off here. No need to be watching that. But no, I think it's a good move. I'm excited for the running backs here. Grendo is good, but I do like Brian Robinson there, and I also still love CMC. Will he be healthy? I hope to God he is.
If he's not, is the season shot?
Okay. No. The season isn't shot yet. No, I don't think so. But I mean, the biggest thing I don't think that anyone is actually even talking about is, and I wrote this down and I sent it to Sean during one of the main shows that he had for the recap of it. And I even said by saying, when we were facing our rivalry teams, if you're a serious team, you can't lose to the Rams when you have a fourth quarter lead. If you're a serious team, you can't lose to the Cardinals when you have a fourth quarter lead. If you are a serious team, you cannot lose to the Seahawks when you have a fourth quarter lead. We're basically, pardon my French, we were basically a monkey fucking a football out there, to be honest. We were just screwing around in the fourth quarter. We were basically giving the lead back to them in the fourth quarter, and it was an embarrassment.
Which is unusual because Kyle Shanahan is, I would say, a good coach.
He's a good coach in regular season. Now, playoffs, that's different.
Talk about the playoffs? Let's talk about fantasy.
I just hope we can win a game.
Let's talk about fantasy football real quick. We've kind of been going in this weird order of starting with wide receivers, so let's do that. I want to ask you, Ricky Pearsall or Juwan Jennings? Who's the guy that you have to have?
Yeah. Ricky is. I mean, it was always third and Juan all the time, last year, but Juan hasn't been practicing. Juan is injured right now. Juan wants a new contract and everything here. Let's go back to history here. What did Brandon Ayuk do? He wanted more money here. He got more money, and then what happened? He looked like crap during the regular season. Ricky is my guy to go to.
Yeah, and Ayuk is obviously, if you've been, like you, in your words, living under a rock, he's out at least the first, I heard 6 games, maybe 8. They're thinking October. He's around with
it's going to be 6 games. 6 games.
So Ricky Pearsall, who did look good in preseason, it did look like that they were targeting him. Are you worried without? I mean, you don't have Ayuk. Juwan Jennings is banged up. Yeah, you got CMC with his bad Achilles tendonitis. I mean, I've been diagnosed with Achilles tendonitis, and I don't play football. But when it flares up, it fucking hurts, man. You can't run on and cut on it. You do have Brian Robinson as a backup. You got Brock Purdy, who I do think is a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's as good as the 49ers scheme makes him look, if that makes sense. I think they run a really nice scheme for quarterbacks. Are you worried?
Worried about just overall? I think they're going to do better than what people expect them to be. Do I see, like, the win total now 10.5? Do I think they're going to actually win more than 10.5 games? No, I don't think so.
They are the favorite to win the division. Do you think they win the division?
No. Everyone's basing that off the schedule and everything else here. But yeah, everything's going to be on paper. Everything on paper looks really good for us. But if you think about it, I'm more optimistic about just by saying there's so many incomplete things, and I need to see a team that's healthy. Yeah. And right now, unfortunately, we don't really see that. And also finishing a game and don't give up, a fourth quarter lead.
No, that's important. Shout out to the chat. Wesley Woodcock chiming in. Good evening. Good evening and cheers, sir. I try to keep in mind, or I try to remember what people are fans of or who they're fans of. Wesley, I believe, is a Bills fan. Let me know if I'm right or wrong, Wesley. If you've listened to us before, I'm high on the Bills. I think they're making the Super Bowl. Bills over Eagles is my future exacta. Last question. I drafted him. So in a keeper league where you can keep 3 players, I kept Sam Laporta because Sam Laporta is Sam Laporta. I mean, he's a hell of a tight end. He's from tight end U. But when I think it was the 3rd round, maybe it was 4th. But anyways, when it rolled around, George Kittle was sitting there, and I thought, am I really going to pass up George Kittle? No, I took him. Is that a good move? Is George Kittle going to be a top 5 tight end?
Brock Purdy loves his tight ends in college, and he also loves George Kittle as well. I believe they always keep having a bet during the Iowa State game about what outfit or what mascot hat they're going to wear to the conference time. So absolutely, I would go with George Kittle over Sam Laporta.
Yeah, well, and I got them both, so I should be set up for success with the tight end you guys there. Shout out to Wesley. I was right. He is a Bills Mafia fan. You and Adam Pelletier, our managing editor. So that's kind of the team breakdowns. We talked about off-season additions. We talked about some fantasy football and guys we're targeting, some guys we're not. Now we got to talk about bets. And I know you're a degenerate. I know you're a gambler. Now I know we're talking football, not football, which you tend to bet quite a bit. I mean, I get the text from you like, this is what I'm thinking. Now maybe I'm not going to tell everybody that Serial gives me more winners than you, but maybe he does. But what you got for NFC West bets?
Well, the NFC West bets here, if I was actually going to do anything, I was going to go take over George Kittle, his receiving yards, and also his touchdowns. I would think his receiving yards are 900 receiving yards. Absolutely. I would take that. That is on DraftKings when I got at the time. Also, George Kittle, his receiving touchdowns, 6.5. That's plus money. Absolutely do it. Okay. I'll actually go over to some of my other some of the the rivalry teams. Kyron Williams is over his rushing yards. I think it's like 1,100. I'm absolutely going to take that too. I'm actually going to take Kyler Murray's rushing yards. Thanks, Kramer. 425 for his rushing yards. Oh, yeah. Absolutely hit that. Hit that. Absolutely smash that for sure.
Just to share a couple with you, I'll get your take on them, but I apologize for saying this. Let's say Stafford does stay healthy. Rams to win the division is plus 200. It's 2-1. I'm all over that. I think the Rams take this division. What do you think?
I think if Stafford can actually stay healthy, yes. Absolutely.
Here's one for your team that I liked. 49ers to score 1+ rushing touchdown in every regular season game. Now, a lot of people call them a run-first team. I'd say they're more balanced. But with Christian McCaffrey, with bringing in Brian Robinson, with Kyle Juszczyk, they do run the ball often in the red zone. That's 14-1. You got to sprinkle a little on that, right?
You got to sprinkle a little bit, but let's also face as well Brock Purdy. He can run. He can get in that end zone. I think he had 2 touchdowns one time, and one of them was just running in to the end zone. So absolutely, I would smash that.
Better quarterback, sure. Brock Purdy in his Iowa State days, or Rocco Becht, their current Iowa State quarterback.
Ooh. I'm going to go with Rocco, because there were some moments during some of the bowl games I'm like, Brock, what are you doing, man? I remember infamously it was the Cheez-Its Bowl, and I'm like, what is Brock doing? What is he running around for? Just throw the ball. Throw it away, man.
I'm a big fan of Rocco. If you did not know, his father, Anthony Becht, is the head coach for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Shout out to the UFL Gambling Podcast. Shout out to Sports Nonsense Whiskey. Hit that like and subscribe for OFF. Hell yeah. Thanks, buddies. We appreciate them. The Denver Broncos fans, even though, I tune in and I have to cover my screen so I don't have to see Caleb in his Huskers hat. Because we know how we think about the Huskers. Shout out to Nation Season as well. Good evening, gentlemen. Got to be on JSN this year too. Big breakout year over catches and receptions. I really think, as much as I love Kenneth Walker and I've taken Kenneth Walker shares, I am concerned about his health. JSN is the Seahawk you want. I have no doubt about that, especially in a PPR league. I think in a PPR league, he is money. You agree?
I agree. Yeah, no. Jackson Smith-Njigba is definitely the guy you want to target in the Seahawks receiving core for sure. Actually, just the player overall.
Yeah.
Just for anyone.
I got one more bet, and then I'm going to have you give out any more that you may have. Marvin Harrison Jr., who I don't know. It seemed like Kyler did not like him last year. It seemed like maybe he hit on Kyler's girlfriend or wife. I don't know what the situation there is, but Marvin Harrison Jr., 10+ receiving touchdowns and 1,000 receiving yards is 4-1. they don't have a ton of options in the receiving game minus Trey McBride. So I think they're going to have to throw it to Marvin Harrison. I do think he's a really good receiver, and I think he's going to take a step forward from last year. And at 4-1, I got to sprinkle a little bit on that. What do you think?
I would definitely would as well. I think I know what's going on with Harrison and Kyler. I think it's because Harrison beat Kyler in Call of Duty a couple times. His ranking was a lot higher, and so that's why Kyler was like, you know what? No. This is your punishment. I'm just going to go to Zach McBride all the time. That could be the reason why. Just hypothetically.
I like it. And shout out to Sports Nonsense Whiskey. Bet on the Huskers tomorrow, and I'll hate myself for it. As an Iowa Hawkeye fan, even though I will say I'm a Boise State fan first, I hate it as well. I'm a Husker hater, but I do think that they're going to cover. And JSN top 5 year. Interesting. No NFL, but this Saturday college game day will be the end of an era with the Corso retirement. Not so fast, my friend. Yeah, that's going to be Lee Corso is one of a kind. It's going to be sad to see him go. I hope that nobody in the future tries to take over his putting on the mascot head of who he thinks will win the big game. Nobody's going to be able to compete or match up to Lee Corso. So I hope nobody thinks like, oh, I'm going to pick this bit up now that Corso's gone. I just don't think anybody can compete with that. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, no one really actually can here. Once he's done, it's sad, end of an era. But at the same point, I'm just happy that football's actually back, to be honest. And college football, absolutely gonna love that as well.
And just for the record, since you brought up Call of Duty, I had to bring up old Google here. But pre-order your preferred edition of Black Ops 7 now. Check out detailed overviews showcasing all the pre-order benefits you'll receive between now and the game's launch on November 14th. Fade Kyler Murray after November 14th, right?
Absolutely. Fade Kyler Murray. Absolutely. All right. Fade him.
What
Fade
other bets do you have? Because I know you had sent me earlier a juicy tight end you bet. Do you want to hit that one, or do you got any others?
No. I got the two, obviously. If you haven't smashed the over for the New York Giants, 5.5, that's still plus money. So I'm going to take that 100%. But I'm going to do my little spiel as well. It is a tight end university bet because it hit last year. So, you got to hit it as well here. It's plus 340 on DraftKings when I got it here. But from tight end university, representing the San Francisco 49ers, wearing jersey number 85, Mr. George Kittle, 6.5 receiving touchdowns. And from tight end university, representing the Detroit Lions, wearing jersey number 87, Mr. Sam Laporta, plus 384. I also did one for over receiving yards for Mr. George Kittle, Mr. Sam Laporta, and I also threw in Dallas Goedert because I think he can actually really be a good fit for the Eagles as well. That's actually plus 560 as well. All receiving yards. That's all we're doing.
I like it. I love it. I've never met a parlay I don't like. You've heard me say that before. Wesley pointing out Pat McAfee will bring energy to game day. Glad they got Pat McAfee. He is fun to watch and definitely brings the juice, says Nation Season. Let's get your take, because I know NASCAR gambling podcast host Cody Zeeb, he hates Pat McAfee. What do you think on Pat McAfee? Are you a fan?
How can you not like Pat McAfee? Okay, he's a WWE fan here. He's been in wrestling matches and everything here. He's in he was in a match at WrestleMania here. I love Pat McAfee.
And
jeez, what kind of water does Cody Zeeb actually drink in Nebraska? Then, if you don't like Pat McAfee,
shout out to Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. Cody. I let them know about our Royal Rumble little bet we do, where everybody throws $5 in. You divide the numbers, you get picked at random, and if your number wins, you win the pot. Cody Zeeb participated in that the last year, I believe it was, and I texted him, I said, "You're not going to believe who's doing the announcing," because I knew he hated Pat McAfee, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? I'm not watching now." Anyways, Nation Season saying, "Smash, smash! Thanks for the cash, tight end you." Yeah, I got to remember those Iowa Hawkeye tight ends. Where's Noah Fant these days? Is he still in the league?
I honestly do not know, which is really sad.
I mean, he was with the Broncos for a cup of coffee. He's been with the Seahawks. I don't know where he is right now either. Will the Iowa Hawkeyes have a stud tight end this year that will make a difference in the NFL?
We will see. We will see. I mean, the first thing we need to know is, does Iowa know what an offense is? What is a pass? What is a pass? Because they don't run the football. A forward pass and like a completion. Like, what is a catch? What is a catch? Because we did have a great punter, and he went to the Chicago Bears.
Oh yeah,
MVP.
I like when the Bears drafted Torrey Taylor. Apparently, Caleb Williams had his number. I don't know how he just got his number right away, but he texted him, "You're not going to be punting much." He punted a lot. Sports Nonsense Whiskey chiming in. They know where their former Bronco Noah Fant is. He's a Bengal now. That's interesting.
Oh.
See if we can find any lines on Noah Fant. Nick, thanks for joining. Thanks for helping keep the show going, especially with Miranda having to miss due to some family stuff. I know you don't do a lot on social media on the X, but you do a little bit. I think you need the confidence to post a little bit more, because you do pretty good on those MLS plays. I've seen them. I've tailed them. I've won some cash off of Mr. Fortune's MLS plays. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Just on X here. I believe it's still at Fortune78X, basically, on Twitter. Or I'm sorry.
Now,
X.
we've talked for a while. You've thrown it out. You've teased me a little bit. Will there be a future Nick Fortune podcast talking el fútbol or soccer?
For right now, no. Right now, no.
Come on.
I got a kid on the way.
Fair. That's fair. That is going to take some of your time. It's a little bit. Nick, thank you for joining. Joe Cool to Fant would be a nice combo. Nation Season says, yeah, I mean, Noah Fant, one of those Iowa tight ends that didn't pan out as well, but still a guy that obviously has been able to stick around in the league. I was trying to remember who was their tight end that came in last year. He transferred from Michigan to Iowa, and now he's in the NFL. He got drafted.
Nick Lachey?
Yeah. I'm waiting for him to have a little breakout, but he's a little buried on the depth chart, I believe. But I mean, you can't go wrong with Hawkinson and Laporta. Those are the dudes, and Kittle. We didn't mention Hawkinson, but I think TJ and Kittle and Laporta, they're all set up for big years. Do you think? Let's ask you this: do you think, before we get you out of here, all three of those can finish in the top 10 as top 10 tight ends in fantasy football?
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They are just stud tight ends, period.
They are. I agree. If you can find a bet that combines them all somehow, let's do it. Wesley says, have a good night, everyone. Glad football is back. Hell yeah. We have one more episode before that. Nick, I'm going to let you get on out of here. Thank you for joining us. And cheers to you, sir.
Cheers as well, sir.
Yep,
thank you.
All right. Thanks to Mr. Nick Fortune for joining us. Make sure you check him out at Fortune78X. We got one more episode before the season starts. Miranda will be back for it. It'll be next week. And it's going to be a little NFL Week 1 primer, we'll call it. We're going to be talking about every game, every single game in Week 1. And we're going to tell you who you should be watching fantasy football-wise, like who might pop off. Just what you should watch in general, questions for each team in every game, as well as I'm going to be giving out my bets. I do want to remind you that I got to pat myself on the back on Tally site, where thousands of people make their picks, thousands of content creators make their picks. I was number 1 against the spread last year. And I looked this today. I looked at Week 1 to kind of start getting my picks in. You can already see them at Tally site. I've already put them in. I like a lot of dogs in Week 1. It scares me how many dogs I like. Don't forget to subscribe. That helps us a lot. Hit the like button. We're on Spotify and Apple. If you can leave us a 5-star review. If you want to make it a 4, 3, 2, 1 star, whatever, that's fine. Just leave us a review. I prefer it to be a 5-star, but Miranda, my usual co-host on the pod and in life, normally says whatever, leave whatever you feel. I disagree. But anyways, we're going to be back next week with that. And we're going to follow our socials, follow the YouTube shorts. I'm going to be doing a lot of bets on Underdog Fantasy. I'm going to be doing a lot of injury updates, all that type of stuff. So Wesley says this year he's doing a pick'em league against the spread for the first time. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I will do my best. If you want to take my picks into consideration, I will do my best to finish number 1 on tally site again. Last year finished number 1 on tally site, number 2 overall. That's with money line and total. But I'm going to attempt to be number 1 against the spread 2 years in a row. I know it's tough, but that's fine. That's what I'm here for. I love football. I love betting. Everybody's like, well, I don't know about that betting. It's fun. Could I go a week without betting? Fuck yeah. Am I gonna? Probably not. Probably not. I'm not in massive amounts of debt, so it's okay. And Nation Season Listener League, can't wait. But dang, we got to finish the draft. Okay, so now I believe Nation Season is who's Nation Season in our draft? That's got to be I'm blanking on your name, from Minnesota, right? The guy from Minnesota that knows how good Keeper's Heart is. The stuff I'm drinking. Oh yeah, now he said Skull Nation. Fuck that. Bears are winning on the money line, buddy. Bears are winning on the money line at Soldier Field. That book comes out. I think it already came out. The American Quarterback, where they quoted Caleb Williams saying he wanted to be part of the Vikings. Who wouldn't meet with Kevin O'Connell and not say, "Hey, I want to be part of this team"? But that was before he even met with the Bears. They made a big deal with that. Nation Season, I got to ask you, even though I'm getting everybody out of here, have you done the blending class at Keeper's Heart? Because if you have not, I guess I'm going to do another shout out with Keeper's Heart here. If you have not, Kate Douglas, who is in our league, Distiller Kate, she led it for when Miranda and I went, and it was fantastic. It is so much fun. You get to learn, you get a tour of the distillery, and then you get to learn about blending and the different components that they put in their Irish whiskey and their rye, their Irish American, Irish bourbon. And then you get to make your own mix. And Kate can vouch for this. Miranda got very, very close to their Irish American. She almost had the perfect mix to it. So that's pretty interesting. Nation Season also saying JJ to JJ, quarterback whisperer. Yeah, JJ McCarthy to Justin Jefferson with Kevin O'Connell. Even though I'm fading McCarthy. I mean, I watched Michigan. I know Wesley said Michigan, go Michigan, but go Wolverines, I think he said. But I'm fading JJ McCarthy. I know he's got the quarterback whisperer, but I don't think they can live up to the hype. I think the Bears win week 1. I do think the Vikings take the next game in Minnesota. I can't wait to see how JJ McCarthy does, says Wesley. Everybody, I'm going to get you on out of here. Nation Season, let me know if you've done that blending class. If not, you gotta try it. It's a lot of fun. Channing, thank you for checking in. Appreciate you chiming in from Canada. I know it's like 10 o'clock your time right now. That's the time I start feeling like I'm a little sleepy. I hope I didn't put you to sleep, but I appreciate you checking in. Nick Fortune, thank you for joining. He's always fun to have on. He's a best friend of mine. I've known him for years, and he's a football fanatic like me. He's a betting and fantasy football degenerate like me, and it's fun to get him on to talk some football in general. I know he and I are going to be having some whiskeys and watching some football. Nick, I will bring some Keeper's Heart to you to make sure you get to try it. They also have, if you're lazy, which we're all lazy sometimes, Keeper's Heart has a pre-made old fashioned. Now, a lot of these ready to drink, ready to serve, whatever you want to call them, old fashions, I do not like. I don't care for. I got to be honest. Something about, so when you put bitters in a alcohol, so when you put it with whiskey, I mean, that's how you make bitters. If you didn't know, you put something in an alcohol. It sits for 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes more, depending on what you're going for. And that makes your bitters. When you put that in other alcohol for a premixed drink, it tends to sit there and stay like that. And that changes it. It changes it. And a lot of those end up being very bitter. Like a bitters. Like there's too much bitters. Keeper's Heart Old Fashioned ready to serve cocktail is one of the best that we've had. There are 2 or 3 that we will stand by, and that is one of them. Their pre-made Old Fashioned is very good. So if you're lazy, you don't want to make your Old Fashioned, you want to just pour it out of the bottle on ice, that is the route to go. I got nothing else to add. We will be back next week. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Nick Fortune. I gotta just do our sign off that we gotta change because we don't talk auction fantasy football like we used to, but the sign off is good. We like the sign off going once, going twice, sold.